Here we're on page 6. We're going to do numbers 31 through 36. They tell us to write the equation, but again, we're not instructed into what form, so we need to be flexible and be able to do standard on some and slope-intercept on the others. I'll try to mix it up a little. And we want not the equation that goes through these two lines, but the perpendicular bisector. So I'm going to draw this one out, just so we get a clearer picture. Here's 2, 7, and negative 6, 3, about right there. So when we look at this segment right here, we're not looking at this slope. We want something that cuts this guy right in half, about like this. So it's the red one that we're actually very interested in. So let's find the slope of what we do have. The slope between these 2 points, 7 minus 3 over 2 minus a minus 6. That gives us 4 over 8, which is 1/2. That's the slope of the blue segment. The red one that comes in perpendicular is going to have a slope of -2. This is shallow increasing, and that is very steep decreasing. And that's where we get that perpendicular relationship. The other thing is that we don't want to go through either one of these points. We want the midpoint of here. So we're going to find the point where we take 2 plus a negative 6 divided by 2. It's just the average of them. 2 and negative 6 is -4, divided by 2 is 2. And then we have 7 plus 3 divided by 2. This is how we get the middle of those 2 points. 5. Sorry, 2 plus -6 over 2, that's a -4 divided by 2 is a -2.5. So this is the slope, and this is the point that we're after. So now we put it into an equation, 2x plus y equals, and then we stick the -2 in here, that's a -4. 5 in there is 5, and we get 1. So this is the equation that goes through that point and has this slope. But we use the blue to help us get these points. Alrighty, that'll be kind of our pattern. Let's do number 32. Better set that up. Okay, so number 32. So again, we'll find the slope here. So the slope between these 2 points is 7 minus a minus 3 over 6 minus a minus 6. And that gives us 10 over 12. Gives us 5/6 as the slope. We don't want that slope. That would be the one between these 2 points. Oh, let's look at it on a graph. We can do that. 6, 7 is going to be about right there, and -6, -3 is going to be about right there. So this right here is the segment connecting them. We don't want that. We want somewhere right in the middle here, and coming this way. So that's the slope of the blue section. Slope of the red section is going to be, the slope here then is a -6/5. And the point that we need, we're going to average this. 6 plus a -6 divided by 2, that's 0. Well, that's right in the middle of 6 and -6. And from 7 to -3 is going to be 7 plus a -3 over 2. That's 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this point right here is 0, 2. And because we were given the y-intercept, we're going to write it out. Y equals -6/5 x plus 2. And that becomes the slope-intercept form of that equation. And the final one. Without drawing this, the slope of the segment connecting them is going to be -7 minus 3 over 5 minus a minus 4. So it's going to be -10 over 9. Perpendicular slope to that is going to be 9/10. And the point that we're going to need is the average. 5 and -4 is 1, divided by 2 is 1/2. -7 plus 3 is a -4, divided by 2 is a -2. So it's this slope and this point. Let's do it slope-intercept again. Y equals 9/10 x plus b. We don't know what that b is, but if we stick x in right there and -2 over there, we get -2 equals 9/12 20ths plus b. Subtract 9 20ths, and this is negative 40 20ths, so we're going to get negative 49 20ths. So y is going to equal 9/10 x minus 49 20ths. And again, slope-intercept. Number 34. So the slope between these 2 points, we can put it on the graph, but we can see 1 minus 1 is going to give us 0, so the slope is going to be 0. So that means the perpendicular slope, the one we want, let's use a different color this time, purple. So the perpendicular slope is going to be undefined. So that's going to be x equals something. So let's find the right point that it's going in. 9 plus a negative 4 divided by 2, and 1 plus 1 divided by 2 is going to be 1. So we get 5/2. 1 is the midpoint of those two. So undefined is x equals that x value. Number 35. Slope between these guys, m is going to be y minus y over x minus x. Be 6 over negative 10 is negative 3/5. That means the slope we really want is the perpendicular of this, 5/3. And the point that we want isn't either one of these, it's the midpoint of these. So negative 4 plus 6 divided by 2, and 9 plus 3 divided by 2 gives us 1. Right? Negative 4 plus 6 is 2, divided by 2 is 1, and 9 plus 3 is 12, divided by 2 is 6. So here, let's do standard form. That's 5x minus 3y equals, stick 1 in there, and we get 5. Stick 6 in there, and we get a minus 18. That's a negative 13. And the last one, number 36. The slope between these two is 13 minus 7 over 6 minus minus 2. So that is 6 over 8, 3/4. The perpendicular slope of that perpendicular slope is going to be negative 4/3. Now we find the point that we need to go through has to be the midpoint of these two. Negative 2 plus 6 divided by 2, and 7 plus 13 divided by 2. So that'll be 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 20 divided by 2 is 10. So the point is 2/10. So we have this slope and that point that we're going to go through. Standard form, 4x plus 3y equals, stick 2 in there and we get 8 plus 30 equals 38. Now, just for good measure, I'm going to graph this one so we can see again, remind ourselves what is going on here. We have negative 2, 7. It's going to be about right there. We have 6, 13 is about right there. These two are connected by a segment and have the slope 3/4. However, we are instructed not to use that segment, but to find the very middle of this and to come down through this way, perpendicular. And so that's why we did the slope as 3/4. Perpendicular slope then gives us this slope of negative 4/3. And the midpoint tells us, oh, we're not going through these points, we're going through their average, which is 210. And so we get this equation of the line.